The 7.8% GDP growth for the Philippines in the first quarter is the best for Asia. It came as a major surprise for many, to include top leaders in the business sector. Can this be sustained for the second quarter, and what is the impact in reducing poverty incidence in the country? Joining us live by phone is Mr. Guillermo Bill Luz, Co-chairperson of the National Competitiveness Council. Good evening, sir, and welcome to NewsLife.
Good evening.
So the 7.8% growth, was this a major surprise for the business sector?
Well, it was a surprise for me. I was expecting a strong quarter, somewhere between 6.5 to 7, but 7.8%. We're very surprised and happy with the results.
So is this sustainable for the second quarter?
Well, you know, if we keep on performing and working as hard as we all are working in the private sector and in the government, I think there's no reason to feel that it will drop down too much. I think it's a challenge to keep it up at that high number, but it is possible.
So what were the major drivers for this growth?
Well, the good thing we're seeing in the first quarter was that manufacturing was the strongest, industry and manufacturing was the strongest performing sector in the first quarter, followed by services and followed by agriculture. The good news is that agriculture also grew significantly over last year. So we're seeing, I guess, a little more balance in the growth picture. In the industry sector, we're particularly happy to see the construction figure. That's a reflection of both private and public construction that was up, I think, over 30%. So those are all the leading sectors. Services also still performing quite well.
So these sectors that you've mentioned, these are labor-intensive sectors. If more jobs were generated, will this reduce the incidence of...
That should be the case, and I'm eagerly awaiting the jobs report to be released by the Department of Labor. But all the sectors that have been leading in the first quarter are labor-intensive sectors: manufacturing, construction in particular, services is also a heavy job generator, and agriculture. So we should see the number of employed rise in the first quarter. That will help reduce poverty for sure.
So with the growth that we've been seeing in the couple of months, are you more confident now that more investments, especially foreign, will enter the country and sustain the growth in manufacturing and other sectors?
Well, if the trends continue from the first quarter, it certainly looks like more investments coming in. Looking at the capital formation number in the first quarter report, it is a very strong figure. I think it was above 40%. So that's a good indication that investors are beginning to come in the form of direct investments, not just portfolio investments. So we need to maintain that trend.
Given this growth in numbers, do we see ourselves now more competitive in attracting investments?
Well, definitely we're more competitive. When you see the country rankings, we were up 5 in the IMD World Competitiveness Yearbook data released just yesterday. That's put us now, taken us out from the bottom third of the world into the middle third of the world. All other competitiveness reports have been upgrading the Philippines in terms of the ranking. So I think we are being seen as a more competitive country, and countries generally which are seen as more competitive have greater ability to attract foreign direct investments. We've seen it happen all over ASEAN, and I think we're beginning to see it happen for the Philippines.
So all these good news are very good for our country, but there's still a major problem that the business community is actually facing, which is the cost of doing business here in the Philippines. What are the things that are needed to be done to resolve this so that it will actually create a bigger impact and support this growth that we are actually experiencing here in the country?
Well, yeah, the two issues really are the actual cost of doing business and what we call the ease of doing business. The ease of doing business refers to the processes that businessmen have to go through when they transact with the government, whether they're getting a permit or starting a business or getting some form of or inspection done. And those have been quite tedious, still are actually quite tedious up to now. both from the national government point of view and a local government point of view. So obviously simplify, streamline, and reduce all these steps that we need to go through to get a permit or a license or an inspection done. The minute we do that, we're going to make these processes much more business-friendly or user-friendly. I think we will attract investment. So that's a big part of the program of National Competitiveness Council. We've got task forces working on many fronts, different agencies working together with the private sector to provide solutions, think of solutions to streamline. And I think we should be able to see the product of their work in the next few months, and hopefully people will begin to feel the effect of the streamlining.
So again, looking at the good news of all, the growth of our economy, do you see any risks that the country would actually face in the future that could slow down growth?
Well, there are always plenty of risks, and we need to keep our eye on the risks. One set of risks are what's going to happen with the global economy and what's its impact on the Philippines. On the domestic side, there of course, we still are faced with many problems and challenges. You mentioned the cost of doing business. We need to continue to drive that down. Our power costs. We need to improve our infrastructure. So those are risks that are manageable. They're identifiable. They're manageable. Some of the risks can be very unexpected, like natural calamity and climate change risk. And here we need to obviously just be very prepared against risks. And I think one of the biggest risks that I always warn people about is just the risk of complacency, thinking that when you do something good like 7.8% growth for one quarter, that you begin to relax a bit too much and think that you can pull it off the second quarter and third quarter and the fourth quarter. A little bit like I always tell my staff, we move up 5, we move up 10, but we can really never afford to rest. We know the competition never sleeps, so neither should we. We need to keep on working. And one of the biggest risks is just the risk of not doing something, the risk of being too complacent. We can't afford that.
Sir, and a final word from you, sir. Any next steps that needs to be done to continue this growth to be sustainable?
I think people need to see that and believe that the numbers we're seeing now, whether it's a credit upgrade, credit rating upgrade, or a competitiveness ranking upgrade, or strong quarterly economic figures, none of these happen by accident. They're the product of a lot of hard work of a lot of people, both in the private sector and the public sector. We need to believe in ourselves that we can do this again and again and again, quarter after quarter after quarter. If we believe we can do it, and we combine all our efforts to move in that direction, it can be done. Nothing is by accident. So I think I would say really let's continue to work hard, never let up, never get complacent.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us tonight on NewsLife. That was Mr. Guillermo Bill Luz, Co-chairperson of the National Competitiveness Council. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much as well.